A new indictment alleges conservative media company took millions of dollars of Kremlin cash. Like I was reading about it right before I hopped on while I was trying to get my computer to load. And
I have
essentially,
not seen the specific names there. That's interesting. I just
oh, did
saw
you
there
see
was
the
a
names?
general like a general.
Yeah.
There is so much going on here, TJ. Like it is a massive thing that a lot of entities are connected to. I didn't realize there were mainstream Americans involved.
Yeah. Yeah. There's what was really interesting to me is I saw what Tim Pool and Benny Johnson said about it. And there was they seem to be taking this way more seriously than I would have guessed. I would have guessed that they would have done the standard conservative thing, like, oh, this is just mainstream media nonsense. But no, Tim Pool released like a 3-paragraph statement for this. And
he's able to write that many words?
I'll pull it up actually right here. So yeah, I was once again, I was just sure it was going to be dismissed because why would they take anything seriously? But he really thought that he and Benny Johnson, they used the word leak, which was interesting because they didn't say fabricated, they didn't say staged, they said it was leaked. So this is what Tim Pool said. My statement regarding allegations in the leaked DOJ document. Should these allegations prove true, I, as well as the other personalities and commentators, were deceived and are victims. I cannot speak for anyone else at the company as to what they do or why they or what they were instructed. The Culture War podcast was licensed by Tenet Media. It existed well before any license agreement with Tenet, and it will continue to exist after any such expires. The only change with the agreement was that the location of the live broadcast moved to Tenet's YouTube channel. Never at any point did anyone other than I have full editorial control of the show, and the contents of the show are often apolitical. Examples include discussing spirituality, dating, and video games. The show is produced in its entirety by our local team without input from anyone to the company. TCW is a separate company, not associated with timcast.com or other properties. It exists solely for the production of the Culture War podcast. That being said, we still do not know what is true, as these are only allegations. Putin is a scumbag, Russia sucks donkey balls, and to the journalists who wish to jump the gun, create their own narrative, or lie about what is currently going on, you can kiss my Irish ass. That man takes this stuff seriously. That is the most serious I have ever read a state. It doesn't even, like, it seems like it was like half written by a lawyer because it was very precise in the language right there.
It was precise. I also, the line about it also talks about things like dating, not just politics. I was like, well, that sounds like something a liar would say. That sounds like someone trying to boost their word count, because how the fuck is that relevant to the allegations?
Yeah, yeah, right.
Sometimes we talk about dating, so the political stuff we talk about can't possibly be influenced by foreign actors.
I spent a full 41 minutes talking about the Super Bowl, so there's no way I was being, influenced by foreign actors on this. Yeah, that was pretty. I was just very surprised at how seriously he took this, which seems like it's going to be a big deal. So I think that could be a good one to talk about.
That is a good one to talk about, and to kind of just loop it back into what we were talking about earlier with Lex Friedman's podcast. So Lex Friedman asked Donald Trump about Project 2025.
Oh God, I saw that.
And Trump repeatedly said he had not read it, which I thought was a really interesting response, because I believe him. I 100% believe that Donald J. Trump did not read Project 2025. There is about a 0% chance in hell that Donald Trump read through all of those documents. Way too many pages for him. Does that mean that I think that he isn't involved, in implementing that policy? No, he totally is. But it's not that explicit. And I think the same thing is going on here. The Russians don't need to pay Tim Pool to help them. They need to make sure he's funded, but he's gonna do what they want on his own. Donald Trump is gonna kind of do what the actors of Project 25 want on his own. They just need to, make him feel good about doing the things that they want him to do. He doesn't need to be involved. There doesn't need to be an explicit quid pro quo, You know what I mean? It's a bad day, guys. Screw it. We've already this live stream already sucks. So we appreciate everyone who's watching. But there doesn't need to be these like explicit give and takes. I believe Tim Pool that he wasn't aware of any of this going on, because I don't think he needed to be in order to serve Russian interests. Like, I think it's really as simple as that.
I mean, it could be. What about, so with Trump and Project 2025, what was funny about that to me is that Trump went down the same thing he's been saying for, weeks now, that they talk about Project 25, something I've never heard of. I've never read it. I don't know what, but
there are some good things.
And some bad things that I really disagree with, that no one ever asked him, okay, what are the things you disagree with? And of course, Lex Friedman didn't. But one thing he said that was different this time that I hadn't heard him say before is, I purposefully don't read it. He said, I don't want to read it. I don't want to see what's in there, which I've never heard him say before, that, I'm not reading it on purpose because I don't want to know. But however, he still knows there's good things and bad things in there, but he doesn't want to read it. Yeah, I don't know. Trump is
it's literally mob rules. Like, it's just like, I didn't order the hit. I just had to take care of him.
Exactly. Yeah.
I meant take him out to dinner, man. I don't want to read the thing. Then I'm implicated. Like, that's what he's saying. Like, that is what and honestly, the answer shouldn't be that either way. He should read it. It would be like, if
it's the responsible thing to do.
It is the responsible thing to do. Like, if you actively did not want project, like, you're like, oh, you're being accused of executing this game plan. You can't say that you're not executing the game plan if you also say you haven't read the game plan, because how the fuck would you know?
Yeah.
Like that, it can't work both ways. Of course, it's always going to work both ways with Trump, because I do believe that he hasn't read it. I believe he understands why he shouldn't read it, and I believe he's going to do it anyway. But everything he said there, I do think is true.
Yeah. And Ben said what I was thinking too. No way Trump is reading 900 pages. Yeah, I think Project 2025 is a 905-page document. Come on, no, that's not happening. Trump isn't doing that. And
if they named it Project Trump, maybe he'd skim it.
Do you remember those stories? People from the White House staff would say that they had to condense all their briefs into one page with like graphs and stuff, so Trump would pay attention. Yeah, Trump's not reading that shit. It's just interesting because this so like with this Russia thing, and so you're saying like Project 2025. He doesn't need to read it. They just know he already is ideologically aligned with them.
Yes.
So that's what people have been saying about Clarence Thomas, that, these Harlan Crow paying all this money to Clarence Thomas, it doesn't matter because Clarence Thomas would have voted that way whether Harlan Crow paid him that money or not. Like, you could look at every case and how he ruled. He's done the same way for 40 years now. Like, why would money 3 years ago from a billionaire change his mind? And it's true. I got to admit, it is true, but it's still bribery, right? That's kind of how I look at it. You've seen Tim Pool, right? You've seen his clips and everything. He's one of the highest paid political commentators in the country. And you had to stop wondering why? Like, how is Tim Pool
this guy?
Right? Like, how is this happening? Like
Ben Shapiro, I get it.
Ben Shapiro, I get. Yeah. Tim fucking Pool? Are you kidding me? And then you see the takes he comes out with, and they're just like the most. I'll watch clips with Tim Pool, and this is literally what he does. His entire show is pulling up articles from like Daily Beast or whatever that have these sensational headlines. And he's like, oh, look at this. This is crazy. And then he reads through the article and says, well, that doesn't make sense because of this. And the next paragraph, it tells why what he said was ridiculous. Oh, okay. He doesn't even read the articles. He just reads them live on air and live reacts to them. I was like, Jesus Christ, this guy doesn't put any work into this, and he's not super entertaining. So I gotta say, if I was just a mediocre broadcaster and I'm making, $100 million, I was like, that's kind of weird, right? Kind of odd. What's going on there? It's on you if you couldn't catch why that was suspicious, Tim Pool.
Yeah, that's a great point that you make, because I'm comparing him to other people, right? Like,
right.
Compare him to Steven Crowder. Steven Crowder puts in a lot of fucking effort. You can't knock the man's effort.
Look, it's hard to be that racist. You got to burn a lot of calories to be as racist as Steven Crowder. That's true.
You do. He does bits, like he does, whatever. Like he also had a lot of like viral fucking internet fame, like mega viral that like
there are memes based off of him.
Exactly. Shapiro, he's got the talent. He's hired great people under him as well, and by great people I mean good at their jobs, not great people. I think, for example, I think Michael Knowles is excellent at finding the way towards something.
He does. He's great.
Matt Walsh is the king of it, but Michael Knowles is also very good. Where like they're so good at the clickbait and then standing on that business, like they're very good at it. And I can't disrespect them. Tim Pool sucks. Tim Pool genuinely sucks. He's not entertaining. Like he doesn't come up. I can't think of a Tim Pool take off the top of my head. I cannot think of a single take Tim Pool has ever had. It's just weird. You have a great point. He does not deserve that kind of money.
There's one that I'll probably bring up tomorrow, but it's a clip of him talking about Ukraine, and he says Ukraine is the greatest threat to American safety and world safety, and we owe Russia an apology. It's like, oh, okay. I think it's pretty safe to say Tim Pool actually is kind of a Russian asset here, but. This is a great point, actually, because if we think of that list that we had Tim Pool, Dave Rubin, Lauren Southern, and Benny Johnson, 4 of the least talented people on the right I can think of. Just awful. Like, you ever watch Dave Rubin clips? He's the dumbest. Dave Rubin is the dumbest one by far. So it makes sense that they're the ones being propped up by this. But you mentioned about what's his name, Michael Knowles, and how he's an expert agent provocateur, but he's like a close second to Matt Walsh. There's a great Matt Walsh thread I saw yesterday. I was texting it to my friends and everything, but you've seen the raw milk trend that's been going on, right? With right wingers saying you should drink raw milk. So Matt Walsh apparently.
Hold on, TJ. But before we move on to this, I just have to say something. When did Tim Pool? Do you know when Tim Pool made that statement about Russia?
Let's see.
Ukraine. Because
I don't know the date.
Because I think this could like prove my point right or wrong here. Because Tenet like did the deal with him in 2023.
It had been. Yeah, that could have been.
And so was it before or after he said that?
I'll find the clip. I'll have it right tomorrow. See, I see the video, but I don't see when it was posted by Tim Pool. Tim Pool pounds the table and yells, "Ukraine is the enemy."
I don't know. We have to put together a timeline.
Yeah, we're gonna go hold the Zapruder film on this.
Because here's the thing, TJ. There was a moment, and I don't know off the top of my head when this was. Like I didn't mark it down, but I did notice, and I'm sure you did too. There was, for a while, normal bipartisan support for Ukraine.
Mm-hmm.
And then suddenly, it seemed over the course of a month, this became a partisan issue.
Yeah.
And I wonder how closely these specific media companies making deals with people are tied to that flip. And it's probably pretty easy to find out.
The same thing happened with George Floyd, if you remember. I remember all the conservative outlets said, well, clearly this cop went too far. And within a matter of days, they changed their mind. This is the clip right here, I'm pretty sure.
They know it. But I don't know if
is that playing?
Anymore. This is
Turn it up.
Ukraine is the enemy of this country. Ukraine.
Or mute yourself. Yeah, there you go.
They know it. But I don't know that it matters anymore. This is psychotic. Ukraine is the enemy of this country. Ukraine is our enemy, being funded by the Democrats. I will stress this again. One of the greatest enemies of our nation right now is Ukraine. They are expanding this war. Now, don't get me wrong. I know you've got criminal elements of the U.S. government pushing them and guiding them and telling them what to do. Ukraine is now accused, a German warrant issued for blowing up the Nord Stream pipeline, triggering this conflict. Ukraine is the greatest threat to this nation and to the world. We should rescind all funding and financing, pull out all military support, and we should apologize to Russia.
Wait a second. He clearly read that. Am I wrong here? He clearly looks down and read it like it was a fucking sponsor.
know that it matters anymore. This is psychotic. Ukraine is the enemy of this country. Ukraine
speaking extemporaneously here. This is like he's not reading, and then at the end when he's like, "We need to do this specific policy," that was read like a fucking ad read.
Nation and to the world. We should rescind all funding and financing, pull out all military support, and we should apologize to Russia.
He read that. Like he read that statement, TJ.
Yo, that's a good observation. It did seem like he read that
As
last
someone
part.
who does this, I know when someone's reading versus speaking from the heart. That was reading.
I can't get over the over-exaggerated Ukraine is the enemy of this nation. I was like, okay, buddy, okay, calm down, Nikita Khrushchev. What's going on here?